Grandpa Holly. Hi, Grandpa.
Hi, Alec.
Since the day I was born, my grandfather and I have always had a special relationship.
I love you.
I love you too. It's good to be here.
He's now 87 years old, and our relationship has only gotten stronger. Over the years, I've learned my grandfather isn't a man of many words, so when he does speak, you know it's with purpose. Recently, on a trip back home to Texas to visit him, we went on a road trip to Paris, Texas. While on the road, we drove past a cotton field. We pulled over, and at the side of that field, Grandpa started telling his story.
Now, you see over there, they probably gonna plow all this up.
He shared with me that he used to pick cotton on his family's land every fall, and he told me all he knew about the cotton crop.
And have a big, long bag
Yeah.
and just throw it on the sack.
Then he showed me how he used to pick it after school.
You had to get down on your knees to do it?
Yeah, and you crawl.
It was in that moment when I realized even though he's been there for me all throughout my life, there was a lot about my precious grandfather and his life I didn't know.
Look at this fountain.
You always throw coins in the fountain.
What does that mean? Is that good luck?
Leave you a return.
It was after this trip my grandfather and I really started discussing going on a bigger trip together, one bigger than a Texas cotton field. We committed to going on a trip to visit the new African American Museum of History and Culture on the National Mall in Washington, D.C.
Did you think in Washington, D.C. that we would have a museum dedicated to African Americans and all that they've contributed? Did you ever think you'd see this day?
No, I never dreamed that that would happen, especially in my lifetime.
I immediately knew I didn't want to just see it, but I wanted to see it with my grandfather, through my grandfather's eyes. Almost instantly, it felt like we were back on that road trip in Texas, where he was talking, where he was sharing.
I've actually used a plow like that.
Like this right here.
Yeah, classroom like that. Those are the kind of seats I had.
It doesn't look comfortable.
Never thought about comfort.
We started on the base floor of the museum, where our history starts with the slave trade. We saw the shackles that were slapped on our ancestors' wrists.
I've read about them. I've never actually seen them. They look like such hard iron.
And then Grandpa went back to his memories of growing up in Northeast Texas along the Cotton Belt.
28 pounds a day
28 pounds a day.
of cotton.
No, they pick more than that.
I learned that even though slavery had been over for years, when my grandpa was growing up,
So you carried a bag like this.
Yeah.
cotton was still a major crop in Texas.
Cotton I picked in a day was 100 pounds.
You've picked 100 pounds of cotton.
Yeah.
What was that like on your hands?
Well, sometimes the burrs make your fingers sore.
I remember growing up, I used to think you had really rough hands, but they tell a story.
As we moved through the museum, we moved through segments of our history and my grandpa's personal history.
See, the sign says colored and white, so you had the special water fountain, special restroom.
So you've seen signs like this one?
Yeah. You see, it says colored.
Yeah.
You saw that everywhere.
Even when my grandpa entered the service, he still received the same treatment.
I had to go around outside the bus station to a little hole in the wall and get a Coke and a hamburger. And what was so odd about this, I had on my uniform, had lieutenant bars and all that.
Even though you were serving your country, you still didn't have any better rights.
No.
The interactive parts of the museum allowed him to experience parts of his history too.
They would call them sit-ins, right?
Yeah, they beat you up. Yeah, you'd have to be real brave. It took courage.
The more we walked through the museum, the more Grandpa started to share with me.
It brings back memories, for sure.
Good memories or bittersweet?
Well, bittersweet, I guess you'd say. It was hard times.
But this museum doesn't just focus on the dark part of our history. We also saw the lighter moments when things started to look up and our pace started to pick up.
You're moving fast.
Easy to walk fast and really walk slow.
He shared what it was like to see Black people start a revolution of pride in the arts
Sidney Poitier.
Remember James Brown, Say It Loud.
and how it influenced our culture.
People resented didn't like to be called black until he put out that song, I'm black and proud, and everybody starts singing, I'm black and proud.
Even down to Chuck Berry's convertible.
I've seen him perform.
You have in person?
Yeah,
After going through all of those memories, all of those emotions, we needed a moment to just sit and take it all in.
we are determined to work and fight.
In the middle of the museum, you find an oasis that they call the Contemplative Court. And Grandpa did what he always does when he visits a place he would like to see again.
Well, I'm going to toss it because I want to come back.
Once we left the museum, I finally asked Grandpa, who was an educator for more than 35 years, why our history was so important to him.
School textbook writers would say the Black History part, they had to make it a kind of separate because some school boards would not buy the books if they put the Black History part in there.
Wow.
So this museum is real meaningful because so much of the story was denied and crushed.
So it's all right here. The history is here.
Yeah, it's all here.
All here in one place. So other granddaughters and grandfathers can come together and learn together.
And I think it's not just important for black kids, it's important for all Americans to know.
Which, like the coin, will give us yet another reason to return.